Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for stopping by the channel. So for this video, I wanted to talk about pilot watches, and specifically my mission to pick up the most affordable Type A dial pilot watch that has decent specs and supplied on a bracelet for around $100. Now I ended up landing on this Addies Dive sterile dial pilot watch in 316L stainless steel. This watch also has an Seiko NH35 automatic movement, equipped with a sapphire crystal, 200 meters of water resistance, and C3 lume for just under 100 Canadian dollars. And this is shipped out from AliExpress. Now, if you don't like the look of the plain dial, you can also purchase it in a couple of different configurations from AliExpress, and this includes having the Addies Dive logo on the dial. Now, one quick note is that this channel is very close to reaching my goal of 10,000 subscribers, at which point I will be doing some cool giveaways for all the watch enthusiasts that support my content. Now, among the swag, I do plan to gift this pilot watch to one viewer, so please do like and subscribe to this channel so you're up to date when this event will happen. Now, for added interest, I also thought it would be interesting to compare this affordable pilot watch to a luxury option that actually has some real heritage behind it, and that is on my other wrist. It is my IWC Mark 18 Le Petit Prince, and I think it'll be fun to see if the added history, improved dial, case, and bracelet finishing, and build quality of this IWC holds up really well against the quality of a cheap alternative. Now, some common characteristics of a Type A pilot watch is that it will have a triangle marker at the 12 o'clock position for orientation. It does have long, broad sword-style hands, and the remaining hour markers will be in large Arabic font from 1 to 11. These watches prioritize legibility, so at a quick glance, a pilot would be able to discern the time easily for mission timing or even fuel consumption. Now, most traditional pilot watches would be supplied on a strap, but my preference is to wear them on bracelets, which the manufacturer is supplying in both of these examples. Now, with respect to case dimensions, both pilot watches are fairly close in size, coming in with a 39mm case diameter for the AliExpress special and a 40mm case diameter for the IWC. Now, this Addies Dive watch is a bit squatter and taller on the wrist with a lug-to-lug distance of 49mm and a height of 12mm. By contrast, the IWC is a bit longer and thinner on the wrist with a 51mm lug length and 10.7mm in thickness. Now, both watches have a 20mm lug opening where the bracelet attaches to the head of the watch, and when wearing both pilot watches on the bracelet, I don't really notice much of a difference in the overall wearing experience. I will say that there is a slight weight difference though, with the Addies Dive watch weighing in about 130 grams, sized up for my 7.5-inch wrist, and it's a bit lighter than the IWC, which has a weight of 150 grams on the bracelet and sized up for my wrist. On paper, the Addies Dive watch does have some impressive specs and even outclasses the IWC in some areas. But of course, at this price point, there is also going to be some compromises being made, which I'll get into in a bit later for this video. In the area of water resistance, the Addies Dive does have an impressive 200 meters of water resistance with a screw-down crown, and this crown is large and easy to grip and operate. By contrast, the IWC is only rated for 60 meters water resistance, and it does also have a screw-down crown, which is slightly smaller and difficult to rethread than the Addies Dive, although they do actually brand their crown. Now, another area that the Addies Dive has an advantage is in the lume department. There's just more lumed elements on the dial, with C3 lume on all of the hour markers and each hour index, and lume on the hour and minute hands. IWC actually made a design choice to only have lume on the cardinal 4 points of the dial, so that's the 12 o'clock triangle, as well as the index at the 3, 6, and 9 position, with also lume on the hour and the minute hands. Unfortunately, none of these brands loom the seconds hand. Now, in terms of movements, both watches run automatic movements. As mentioned before, the Addies Dive houses the Seiko NH35 movement, and this is affordable and reliable, giving the watch about a 41-hour power reserve. I've measured this watch's accuracy about plus 10 seconds per day, and it runs at 3 Hz. Now, the IWC, by contrast, runs a highly modified Swiss ETA 2892 that has a similar power reserve, but this movement is also more robust and housed in a soft iron cage for resistance to magnetism. Now, my IWC runs about -2 seconds per day, and I'll also mention that this watch is resistant to low pressure changes like you might actually experience at different altitudes, and it runs at a more modern 4 Hz frequency. And where the IWC also really pulls ahead of this watch is in the area of case bracelet and finishing, as well as overall engineering. So the Mark 18 has nicely polished accents on the case, including fine beveled lines as you transition from the sides of the case to the tops of the lugs, as well as on the conical portion of the fixed bezel. Even the case back is nicely finished and has been engraved with the Petite Prince logo, whereas the Addies Dive Pilot Watch is pretty much all machined brushed metal and has a sterile case back to match the sterile dial. Also, the curve to the lugs of the IWC is more elegant and smooth to the touch, where in contrast, the Addies Dive lugs are very pointy and sharp. And I mean really sharp. Another potential hotspot for the Addies Dive Pilot Watch is on the clasp, because it has pressed metal for the swing arm portion that is sharp along the edges of a clasp when it's opened up. Now, the clasp on the IWC is nicely finished and even has perlage work on the middle swing arm section, and it's also very well designed, with the IWC logo acting as a push button release mechanism for on-the-fly micro adjustment. Now, moreover, the bracelet links on this IWC have a unique sizing system that doesn't require you to punch out pins to resize the length of the bracelet like you do on the Addies Dive watch. In fact, every link on the IWC bracelet is removable, and the tolerances on this bracelet are very tight. Meanwhile, the Addies Dive bracelet has some flexibility to it overall, but I still actually like the 5-link design that they went with. So taken together, I'm impressed by the spec sheet and components that the Addies Dive has used in a sub $100 pilot's watch. It has the look and feel of a classic Type A Flieger, as well as great lume and legibility, impressive water resistance, and a workhorse automatic movement with a decent bracelet. Now, clearly the IWC Mark 18 is the better watch, but if we're being brand agnostic, it's not a few $1,000s improvement over the Addies Dive offering. But of course, buying luxury watches doesn't occur on like a linear scale, as a lot of the budget for these timepieces does go into the emotion and the heritage that accompanies these iconic models. Now, I'm curious to know what you guys think of an affordable pilot watch like this, so please do leave your thoughts in the comments section of this video. And again, please consider subscribing to help get my YouTube channel to that 10,000 subscriber milestone. So be well, and I'll catch you guys in the next review.